With the fight nearing its conclusion, the outcome at this point was already decided. Everyone knew Qin Jingguan had no chance of winning. The gap in strength between the two was too massive that he had become a toy in Sun Jiaming's hands. The crowd laughed excitedly and cheered for Sun Jiaming, and their remarks held no restraint. Well done, Sun Jiaming. Is this person truly from Tianhai City? He's too weak. Yup, it's hard to believe he's a leader of a faction. No way, just like that? It seems that there are only weak people in Tianhai City at present. Wow, I only heard about it before, but seeing it with my own eyes, there's nothing to doubt anymore. If weak people like this can dominate that city, then it's a pity to waste such a good place. It seems the little face Tianhai City had was completely gone due to this one-sided beatdown, and the faces of everyone from the other cities present was filled with immense greed that they were practically drooling. Tianhai City is very rich. At some point, Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian joined the crowd. But the moment Xing Tian saw the situation, he gritted his teeth in anger. He took a step forward to take action but was immediately stopped by Xiao Honglian. After assessing the situation, Xiao Honglian obviously had no intention of taking action right away and wanted to know Zhang Yi's opinion on the matter first. The two turned their gaze from side to side until Xiao Honglian spotted Zhang Yi a few distance away with Beili Chongqing. There! She immediately pointed a finger in that direction as the two approached them. Their eyes were a little hopeful, and the look they gave Zhang Yi clearly asked if he wanted to take action. Zhang Yi spared them a glance and smiled coldly, looking away. His behavior was clearly evident that he had no intention of doing such a thing. However, when Beili Chongqing glanced at him, he was a little worried that Zhang Yi would suddenly get furious and kill everyone here. He stretched out his hand and offered to intervene. Do you want me to stop it? After all, it's not convenient for you to take action. Hearing this, Zhang Yi continued to watch the fight without a trace of displeasure in his smile. No need, he said. This is interesting to watch. Besides, it's just to relieve everyone's boredom, and stopping it will cause unnecessary trouble. He wasn't particularly close to any of the three major forces in Tianhai City, and although they had been trying their best to please him, hoping for his protection, Qin Jingguan, who clearly never bothered showing up in any of their meetings and even came to Blizzard City separately, disregarded his warning and went to duel with Sun Jiaming without his authorization, which also violated his order. Let him suffer alone. And as for these morons who foolishly believes that Tianhai City is weak and easy to plunder for resources, let them come and try. Beili Chongqing simply smirked when he heard this. It seems some people don't value their lives. Qin Jingguan and Sun Jiaming were not at the same level. And according to Zhang Yi's judgment, Qin Jingguan's ability was only at the Gamma level, which is originally behind the first-line level of Tianhai City. Zhang Yi intended to take this opportunity to teach the three a lesson and see if they will disobey his orders again in the future. Shortly after, Zhang Yi turned around and left. There was nothing good about this farce of unilateral ravage. After thinking it over, Beili Chongqing told the Yenyun guards to later stop Sun Jiaming under the pretext of not wanting to cause any loss of life. He then called out to Zhang Yi, wanting to continue their previous chat, but Zhang Yi just proceeded forward without a backward glance. I'm going back to take a seat. You can do your thing, and don't worry about me. So with that, Zhang Yi returned to the venue and back to his seat. The fight was quickly wrapped up and Qin Jingguan had been beaten half to death. The crowd went back one after another, talking and laughing about the battle just now. In their conversations, contempt for Tianhai City was overflowing. Their tone was mostly teasing and mocking. Obviously, Qin Jingguan's defeat was an open invitation to all the mutants present. Inside, Liang Yu sighed lightly. She comments on how things would become troublesome in the future. Qin Jingguan's defeat made people felt that Tianhai City no longer had any strong forces and was weak and could be bullied. Everyone couldn't help but look worried, especially Chunlei. It's over. Will they do something bad to us before the meeting is over? Uncle Yu replied that that wasn't the case. They were in Blizzard City after all, and they won't let anyone do whatever they want. Zhang Yi wasn't the least bit bothered. It's useless to say more now. The key lies in the details on how you get things done. After dealing with the affairs of Blizzard City, he will naturally find someone to show off his power and let people know that there were still strong people in Tianhai City. Chunlei felt relieved after hearing what Zhang Yi said. But at this moment, Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian walked in, and behind them was Qin Jingguan, who was covered in injuries. Although they felt a little embarrassed, they were all organizations in Tianhai City after all, and they couldn't just ignore him. When the group walked in, they could clearly hear the ridicule of others, and it was extremely unpleasant. Zhang Yi didn't even bother to look at them when they came to their seats. Xiao Honglian couldn't stand it anymore, so she came over and said to Zhang Yi, Can you let Dr. Zhou take a look at Chen Jingguan? He seems to have injured his internal organs. Zhang Yi didn't even turn his head and said lightly, he likes to fight. So how can he not afford the price of losing? Xiao Honglian's face was a little embarrassed. She also knew that Zhang Yi was annoyed that Chen Jingguan didn't listen and had a duel with Sun Jiaming privately. Chen Jingguan knew that he was in the wrong, but he still explained to Zhang Yi, it's not that I'm aggressive, it's just that they're bullying me too much. I was just chatting with an old acquaintance outside, and he came over to mock my old boss Wei Dinghai. He also said that there is no one in Tianhai City now, so why not join his team and let his people manage Tianhai City? In front of so many forces from other cities, if I just tolerate it, won't people look down on the forces in Tianhai City? Hearing this, Zhang Yi cast a cold glance at him and asked casually, so, have you given face to Tianhai City now? This sentence was a direct slap on Chen Jingguan's face. Now everyone can see that the leader of a force in Tianhai City was so weak that he was played like a disgusting bug by Sun Jiaming. The face of all the major forces in Tianhai City has been lost due to Chen Jingguan's actions. Chen Jingguan's expression was distorted like he'd eaten a pile of heavy shit. Zhang Yi did not let him continue, but said coldly, stop talking. You don't need to explain anything to me. After all, we are not familiar with each other. Hearing this, Chen Jingguan suddenly felt a chill down his spine because Zhang Yi's words were already expressing his attitude towards his base in the future. If there was no need to explain his actions to him, then it meant that he might be severing ties with Morning Dew base in the future. No. Chen Jingguan hurriedly admitted his mistake. Zhang Yi, I was wrong, and I deserved to be beaten. Please, for the sake of the fact that we are all from Tianhai City and that you have been the head of the entire city for a while, please don't ignore us. I will listen to you in everything in the future. We've been fighting each other to the death until recently, but now your only excuse is that we are both from Tianhai City? Zhang Yi sneered disdainfully. You behaved like you were so capable earlier. As the leader of Morning Dew base, do you need to apologize to me about every action you take? You just exposed your strength and made everyone think that the forces in Tianhai City were weak. What's wrong with you? You just caused trouble for everyone. Zhang Yi placed a finger on his lips, signaling him not to speak anymore. You need to go and rest now. Chen Jingguan was very scared at this point, hesitating, not knowing what to say, and Zhang Yi was not going to be fooled by a few apologies this time. This incident can at best accelerate the conflict between Tianhai City and the other cities. The population of Tianhai City has dwindled, and it is inevitable that there will be conflicts with the surrounding cities. Sooner or later, Zhang Yi will have to take action to deal with this matter. However, Chen Jingguan must pay the price for his stupid behavior this time. Without enough sincerity, Zhang Yi would have to spend a considerable amount of effort just to protect him. And is Chen Jingguan really worthy of that? At this time, Zhang Yi was already considering what reward he was going to demand for his forgiveness. Zhokir was smart and noticed that Zhang Yi deliberately did not say anything absolute. That is, he did not intend to completely give up on Morning Dew base. Knowing this, she walked over and said to Chen Jingguan with concern, let me check your injuries first. Zhokir checked Chen Jingguan's body and found that his internal organs were indeed seriously injured. The injuries were not light. Although he doesn't look serious on the surface, it won't be long before he becomes seriously injured or even endangers his life. She used her ability to treat him, and shortly after, Chen Jingguan felt a little better. Chen Jingguan was very grateful, thanking Zhokir repeatedly. He also begged Zhokir to help him intercede with Zhang Yi. Zhokir just smiled. She told him to just recuperate and never fight with the others again. She returned to Zhang Yi's side and whispered to Zhang Yi about the hidden injuries in Chen Jingguan's body. Zhang Yi's eyes flashed and looked at the forces in Days City not far away from them. Sun Jiaming's big bald head turned slightly, feeling Zhang Yi's gaze on him. He showed a cold smile to Zhang Yi and made a gesture of slicing his neck. What an idiot! Zhang Yi retracted his gaze and did not continue to discuss the matter. He just wanted to be done with the meeting already. And it seems everyone felt the same way. It was already 2:30 and some people were sleepy and tired of waiting. They wanted to go back to rest. Seriously, why hasn't it started yet? As all this murmuring were going on, Zhu Zheng finally appeared at the meeting. Accompanying him were Tu Yunlai and Sun Lushuan. As soon as they appeared at the scene, the strong sense of oppression immediately made the venue quiet. Zhu Zheng's expression was very serious, and this was related to the event that took place earlier. But since he came to the meeting, it means that the matter has been dealt with. Zhu Zheng stood on the stage and swept his eyes over the people present. He could feel the strength and unruliness of many strange people in these 12 cities. If this force can be gathered together, it will be no less than the Yenyun troops in his hands. Welcome to Blizzard City. Zhu Zheng said this, and his steady and powerful voice spread to everyone's ears through the microphone. I am Zhu Zhang, the commander of the Jiangnan region. I have been delayed for some time due to a special matter just now. I would like to apologize to everyone here. I will not waste your time any longer, so I will make this short and state the purpose for calling this meeting. Since the global ice age, the world has been in chaos and society has lost its due order. Now that half a year has passed, most of the survivors have formed groups to form large and small forces. Among them, there are many lucky ones who have awakened their abilities and have gained superhuman powers. And everyone here is the representative of the most powerful forces in each region. I hope we can concentrate our efforts on major events and not be like a pile of loose sand, which is easy to conflict with each other. So, from this point forth, I have decided to establish the Jiangnan Superpower Federation. Everyone in the Jiangnan region must participate in it. Especially the large forces in your 12 cities, you must become important members of the Federation. Zhu Zheng's voice echoed in the venue. Many people frowned when they heard this. Can they refuse to participate if they don't want to? They were also curious to know if there would be any benefits. If there is, then how great were the benefits? Every faction began to discuss among themselves in a low voice, and a lot of noise immediately filled the hall. Zhu Zhang raised his hand and looked around with a stern expression, signaling everyone to be quiet. The strong aura made everyone shut up and wait for his next words. Zhu Zhang continued. The Jiangnan Superpower Federation is affiliated to the Jiangnan Regional Headquarters, and I will be the president. Members of the Federation can act within their respective regions. However, when encountering special events, the region will assign tasks, and the members of the Federation will go to execute them without any violations. Hearing this request, another discussion at the scene started again. Someone among the crowd couldn't help but snort coldly. Aren't they asking us to be the running dogs of Jiangnan District? It would have been fine if we are allowed to join the district and live in Blizzard City. But we rather have to stay in our original place and work for them unconditionally. Isn't this just putting a dog chain around our necks? Zhu Zhang raised his voice a little and continued. Of course, we won't let you work for nothing. As long as you complete the tasks assigned by the district, you will be rewarded accordingly. You can even exchange the points obtained from the tasks for the district's medicines, weapons, and other supplies. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. The offer was quite tempting. As far as he knew, the weapons level of the Jiangnan district was much higher than that of Tianhai City or any city for that matter. Origin bullets, training suits, weapons made of adamantium, and a whole lot of stuff it seems. If anyone can exchange for such good items, then there's nothing wrong with joining the Federation. Moreover, according to the information revealed by Bailey Chongqing, the Jiangnan district has been able to synthesize compounds specifically for mutants to enhance their strength. Zhu Zhang ignored the commotion in front of him and continued calmly. Also, internal fighting is now strictly prohibited within the region. In the past 6 months, the number of deaths has increased dramatically due to internal fighting. I don't want to see such a situation again, and I believe you don't want to live in constant fear every day either. So, the internal fighting must end immediately. If anyone dares to invade other districts, I will send someone to make a judgment. This point made some forces excited. After all, not every mutant in every force was aggressive. After experiencing the brutal struggle since the end of the world, there are always some people who want to live a peaceful life. Zhou Qier was extremely excited when she heard this, and a bit relieved too. If it can be like this, wouldn't it be great? Zhang Yi curled his lips and smirked softly. He thought his woman was way too naive. Just listen and don't take it seriously. After all, if these kind of things could be solved so easily, there wouldn't be so many turmoil throughout the ages. You see, people's greed is endless. There will always be people who desire stronger power and more supplies, and invade others. Sure enough, as soon as Zhu Zhang finished speaking, the female leader of Days City, Gu Hongdai, raised her hand and asked coquettishly, "But what if some weak forces occupy resource-rich areas? Isn't that a waste?" When she said this, she glanced at Zhang Yi. Not only her, many people subconsciously looked in the direction of the forces in Tianhai City. If only they knew they were flirting with death. Zhu Zhang frowned and said in a deep voice, "The region will coordinate the redistribution of resources. Moreover, the resources in your respective areas of influence are enough for you to survive. The number of survivors in the Jiangnan region is now less than 5%, and it is impossible for there to be a shortage of survival supplies. It seems that the supplies that Gu Hongdai mentioned are naturally not what is needed for survival, but what is needed for strategy. Machinery factories, weapons, vehicles, and population. If you want to expand your power and become stronger, these are all indispensable. Not everyone just wants to survive in the end of the world. Many people are ambitious and want to conquer a kingdom in this chaotic world and become the king. Gu Hongdai curled her lips with a mischievous smile on her face, and obviously did not take Zhu Zheng's words seriously. The faces of the mutants at the scene were full of contempt, and they all felt that the requirements of the Jiangnan district were too overbearing and unreasonable. In the crowd, a man wrapped in white cloth like a mummy stood up. He stared at Zhu Zhang and said with cold eyes, "Does the Jiangnan district mean to recruit all of us and allow you to manipulate us? If we have to listen to your arrangements for everything we do, wouldn't it be no different from puppets?" Numerous voices in agreement came from around him. Suddenly, an abrupt sound of breaking through the air rang in everyone's ears. The next moment, the mummy guy's head flew high from his neck. Blood splattered and splashed on the faces of several people next to him. His body was still standing, but his head fell in front of him. The mutant was at least 30 meters away from the rostrum when the guard standing behind Zhu Zhang suddenly attacked. Zhu Zheng's face did not change at all. Zhang Yi's eyes narrowed slightly. He saw everything that had just happened. 3 thin steel wires flew out from the sleeve of Sun Lushuan's right hand and cut off the mutant's head in midair. But the speed of his attack was so fast that only a few people at the scene could react. The 3 steel wires flashed silver light in the air. They were too thin to be seen clearly without careful observation. It was only because there was a trace of blood on them that people noticed them. Sun Lushuan took back his steel wire, then slowly adjusted his black goat leather gloves, then put his hands behind his back and looked at the venue expressionlessly. This move made the venue silent again, because many people knew that the person who just spoke was a leader of a force in Sichuan City. It is said that his strength was very strong, a Delta-level mutant, and at the same level of strength as Xiao Honglian and Wei Dinghai. However, such a mutant was beheaded in one move. What a strong deterrent this was. If the guard could kill the mummy guy in seconds, he could naturally kill most of the mutants at the scene within seconds also. Zhang Yi's eyes became deep. The guards around Zhu Zhang are really powerful. Maybe they are even stronger than the border troops. The 13 cities in Jiangnan, except for a few areas such as Blizzard City and Tianhai City, have not had direct contact with the Jiangnan region, so they naturally couldn't understand that their strength was far from enough compared to the top combat power of Blizzard City. It was just that they were the kings and hegemons within their own territory, which gave them false confidence. They thought they were qualified to talk to Zhu Zhang. However, although they were only a few dozen meters away from Zhu Zhang now, in terms of the authority and strength they possessed, it was like a natural chasm between them. Sun Lushuan's attack shattered the fantasies of many people. Almost immediately after, the doors at the back and on both sides of the venue were also opened. Bailey Chongqing suddenly appeared with the members of the Black Robe team and 2 Yenyun guards. The atmosphere at the scene was solemn. The God team, led by Deng Shentong, also simultaneously rushed in the hall about the same time as the Black Robe team. Deng Shentong twisted his wrist, his eyes cold, and there was a mocking smile on his lips. This strong sense of oppression further made everyone present seem a little panicked. Lu Karen and Zhou Qir clung to Zhang Yi with a frightened look on their faces. Zhang Yi remained calm. Although he didn't think that Blizzard City would launch such a purge, he was still ready to escape. At this time, Zhu Zheng's voice came from the speakers. "Don't get me wrong." He stared at the people in the meeting and said coldly, "I'm not discussing this with you, but rather informing you. This is an absolute order. Any member who refuses to join the Superpower Federation will be regarded as opposing the Federation and the entire Jiangnan district, and such a force or a person will be eliminated immediately." Zhang Yi smiled indifferently. He didn't expect that there would be so many idiots openly trying to reason with a behemoth like the Jiangnan region. Nothing so far was beyond Zhang Yi's expectations. After all, he had discussed this with Bailey Chongqing before, and he also knew the considerations of the Jiangnan district. To be fair, he thought this move was quite reasonable. If Zhang Yi was in Zhu Zheng's position, he would adopt the same strategy. Otherwise, if the chaos and fighting continued in various places, sooner or later the entire Jiangnan district would be torn apart. If there was an invasion by external forces at that time, what would they use to resist? As for whether Zhang Yi himself had any opinions on this, yes, but not much. Although being controlled by others would make people uncomfortable, he was not powerful to resist the might of the Jiangnan district, but could only give them face without a threat on his life. After Zhu Zhang finished speaking, he looked at everyone again. After the shock just now, no one dared to be the first to speak out. Who agrees and who opposes what I said just now? Zhu Zhang continued to ask as everyone looked at each other and tacitly chose not to speak. If you don't say anything, I will assume that you all agree. Then, please sign your names on this membership application form. As Zhu Zhang spoke, he waved his hand for his secretary Lan Xinqing to distribute the prepared membership application forms in her hands to the leaders of each force. As long as they sign this membership application form, it means that they would officially become a power organization under the jurisdiction of the Jiangnan region from now on, and can be dispatched by them. Zhang Yi also received one. He quickly read it over. It was exactly the same as what Zhu Zhang said, without any other additional conditions. Zhang Yi signed his name on it very naturally. Zhu Zhang cares about this procedure, but in fact Zhang Yi doesn't give a shit. If one day, Zhu Zhang sends him to die, this piece of paper will not restrict him at all. As a person, you should know how to be flexible, and there was no need to be the first to stand out. During the distribution, some of them were calm, while others were unwilling, but due to their fear of the Jiangnan district, they all signed the membership application form. Zhu Zhang saw the thick stack of forms in Lan Xinqing's hands and nodded with satisfaction. A smile appeared on his face and he said to everyone, "Don't worry, I won't let you work in vain. Every month in the future you can receive a supply. This includes weapons and equipment specially made for the district. And if you complete the tasks assigned by the district, there will be special rewards for you." After Zhu Zhang finished speaking, he reached out from his jacket pocket and took out a small glass bottle and pinched it between his fingers. Everyone's eyes fell on the small glass bottle, and they were all curious about what it was. Zhu Zhang said in a deep voice, "This thing is called Compound Number 2, C2 in short. Its function is to help people inspired with superpowers to tap into their potential. In short, after using it, your abilities will become stronger. This thing is also on the list of mission rewards." After hearing the function of C2, everyone's eyes lit up. So far, the only way they have found to strengthen their abilities is to devour. However, this approach has great difficulties since it is necessary to constantly devour the essence of high-level superpowers. As the level of these superpowers increases, the effect of co-devouring was also decreasing. Zhu Zhang told them that there are drugs that can help them increase their strength, so of course they are eager to get this thing. In the end times, strength is everything. But when Zhang Yi saw that thing, he frowned slightly. He knew something about C2 because Bailey Chongqing spoke of it. The reason why the Jiangnan regional headquarters was so powerful and has so many high-level superpowers is related to the compounds they developed. And Bian Junwu seems to be one of the users of this drug. Even the side effects of the mutation around him were caused by this particular drug. Although you can gain powerful strength in a short period of time, you need to take huge risks. Fuck that. Zhang Yi was not willing to make such an exchange. But it is obvious that everyone else was deeply attracted by this thing. No wonder there are such strong mutants in Jiangnan district. It turns out that they are assisted by drugs. Zhu Zhang used a big stick in one hand and a sweet date in the other, which dispelled a lot of dissatisfaction in the hearts of the people present. Just when everyone was thinking about the pros and cons, Zhu Zhang spoke again. "You came at the right time and there is a chance for you now." Not long ago, a group of neon Ronin organizations appeared in Linhai City. There are a total of 13 people in this organization. Linhai City has been occupied by them. If anyone can eliminate these Ronins, then he can get 10 copies of C2 and the right to control the entire Linhai City. The people below immediately burst into an uproar. Now that foreign enemies have invaded, their hatred had immediately shifted. Damn these Japanese Ronins, they dared to set foot on the land of China. They are really courting death. Do they think that they are qualified to be arrogant during these end times? Zhang Yi also narrowed his eyes slightly. Japanese Ronins? They are really daring. They've actually occupied a territory in China. Then there is no doubt that the local forces have been eliminated by them. No one can tolerate this. Uncle Yu gritted his teeth and cursed loudly. "Motherfuckers, these dogs, we must kill them. We must kill them all." Everyone had an angry look on their faces. Some people were moved when they heard the conditions given by Zhu Zhang. 10 copies of C2 can greatly enhance the strength of 10 mutants, and it will definitely make an organization much stronger. But the most tempting thing is the control of Linhai City. The local forces in Linhai City have been eliminated by the Ronins, which means that whoever completes this task can become the absolute king of Linhai City. Moreover, his identity and power would be recognized and protected by the Jiangnan region. Many people were thinking about this, but some people were also thinking about how risky this mission was. After all, if that Ronin organization could wipe out the mutant forces in the entire Linhai City, then how powerful are they? Zhu Zhang took in the changes in the expressions of the people in front of him. He knew that some people were still waiting for specific information. Zhu Zhang did not play tricks and gave the information of these Ronins. This group of Ronin comes from northern Japan. They are a local gangster organization called the Moon of Erosion. After they dominated Kanto, they set their sights on the land of China, so they crossed the sea to come here. We have communicated with the top leaders of Japan. The behavior of these people has nothing to do with the official top leaders of Japan. It is a private behavior, so you can hunt them with confidence. Of course, their strength is not weak and you need to be prepared for this. But we have more people. As long as you are willing, anyone can go to do this task. I just want to see the heads of these 13 people. A strange old man slowly raised his hand. This person might be indeed old, but seemed to have enough experience to not be taken lightly. Zhang Yi had noticed him on the subway platform before. This person had a military aura and should be a retired veteran. At this time, he was also the leader of a faction. The veteran asked, "The top leaders of Japan said that those people were not sent by them. This statement is totally unbelievable. An absolute BS. What if we are attacked by the other side when we go to carry out the mission?" Many people nodded and agreed with the words of the veteran. There are many people in Japan who are fickle and two-faced. Can you believe what they say? What if they go to execute the mission and find out that this group of people are just the vanguard of Japan, and there will be other reinforcements later? At that time, they will definitely be in danger. Zhu Zheng raised the corner of his mouth with a bit of disdain. It doesn't matter. What's important is that they officially do not admit that these people are related to them. So, we can hunt these Ronins as much as we want. The Japanese dare not say anything. Otherwise, Zhu Zheng sneered. If it is proved that this group of people is related to the top leaders of Japan, the matter will be easier to solve. They made the first move, so we can naturally use all means to fight back. Zhu Zheng's words were almost blunt. As long as it is found out that this group of people are related to the top leaders of Japan, it proves that the other party has started the invasion war, then the world will be peaceful. Even their allies would have nothing to say. These words gave the people present more confidence. With the strong military force of the Jiangnan region as a backing, they don't have to worry at all. They just need to target those Japanese Ronins and launch a grand hunt. The old soldier nodded silently, agreeing with Zhu Zheng's words. As for why the troops of the 12 cities in Jiangnan were mobilized, the reason was very simple. This is a hunt. They want to surround the Erosion Moon organization and kill them all without leaving a single one. The other party will not wait foolishly to confront them, and must flee. And this kind of encirclement and suppression must require more than 10 times the force of the other party. Just like hundreds of years ago, the encirclement and suppression of thousands of Japanese pirates in the southeast during the Ming Dynasty even required the use of 300,000 troops. Uncle Yu couldn't help but ask Zhang Yi, "Zhang Yi, we can also participate in this encirclement and suppression, right?" As a retired veteran, Uncle Yu still has a strong complex in this regard. Zhang Yi held his chin with one hand, tilted his head and looked indifferently at Zhu Zheng on the stage and the enthusiastic crowd, but he was deep in thought. Ronins are hateful, but he will not act on impulse before doing anything, but will consider the interests involved. Although these Ronins must be eliminated, but why doesn't Zhu Zheng send his investigation team? Even though the Black Robe Squad has lost its border troops, the God Squad was fully staffed. Not to mention that they still have 5,000 Yenyun guards. There may be only one answer, that is, Zhu Zheng is reluctant to let his team take a big risk. That's why he wants to let the forces in the outer city go to carry out this task first. If it succeeds, it will be the best. Even if it fails, it can test the opponent's details, and then let the elite of Blizzard City go out. From this point of view, perhaps in the future, if he encounters a similar problem, he will use the forces in the outer city first. And the elite in his hands will be retained, and will not be used easily unless it is a special mission. After all, the status of the Jiangnan region is maintained by armed forces, and Zhu Zheng has to consider this factor. People are always innately selfish. After thinking clearly, Zhang Yi calmly said to Uncle Yu, "We must observe the situation first. I will find Bailey Chongqing to learn about the specific intelligence over there. There must be some things that Zhu Zheng did not make clear." Zhang Yi's character is to plan before acting, so that he can stand in a safe position.